Hey guys, this is No Solution. I'm Scott, and today I'm going to talk about the nights two and three of the Marillion Weekend. Same shirt. I literally just turned off the camera and then started again. So sorry to break kayfabe there. Um, so Saturday afternoon we had another tribute show. It was a band called Something Else, and the name of their set is Childhood's Friend, and it is a Fish era Marillion tribute. Um, and this, I know, like people are like, why would you go see a tribute band in the afternoon of a band you're going to see for 3 straight nights? But if you know Marillion, then you get it. Like the Fish stuff is an old era. They've moved on. They've done 16 albums since Fish left the band, and Steve Hogarth is much different personality than Fish, and a lot of those Fish songs don't really work with Steve Hogarth. Most notably, he does not want to sing anything from the Fugazi album because he feels those lyrics are way too personal to Fish, and he doesn't have a way to get into it. So, I am going to read out the set list for this because it was just freaking amazing. And if you're into the Fish stuff, you can understand. Oh, just a note about the band. They're friggin' great. The singer he's enough of his own person to not be like a caricature of Fish, but he sounds a lot like Fish. And once again, they don't dress up like the band or anything. They just go for playing the music as it should be played, and they do. Let's see. We start out with Incommunicado, then Assassin, then Cinderella's Search, Hotel Hobbies into Warm-Up Circles in that time of the night, Script for a Jester's Tear, Slange Moth. I never know how to pronounce that. From Clutching at Straws. You know it. If you know the album, you know it. He Knows You Know, Incubus, Sugar Mice, Forgotten Sons. Then they took a break, and if you know anything about the Fish era, you're like, well, they played a lot from 3 of the 4 albums. So I was pretty much sure they're going to play the entire Misplaced Childhood album, aren't they? And they came back, and that's exactly what they did. And it was all the little transition parts, everything was in there. My favorite little transition part is the Blue Angel section of Bittersweet. I think it's one of the greatest moments in music history. Just awesome to hear it live. And then their encore was Fugazi, Garden Party, and Market Square Heroes. I think they played for 2.5 hours. The intermission was like 15 minutes, but I think the total concert time was like 2:45. So quite a show. And then that night we go see Marillion. Oh, I bought a shirt just because they were so great. I felt like I should give them a little more support. Okay, so then we went to night 2 of the convention. Just pulling up the set list so I don't thumper around like I normally do. And I'm doing it right now anyway. Who cares? Okay, so this ended up being the album night of the weekend, and the album was An Hour Before It's Dark, the 2022 album. And when it started, I was kind of being a little baby, and I was like, oh, they just did this last year. I don't know. I'm guessing the reason is kind of the flagship weekend date is the Port Zélande one in the Netherlands. That's the one they usually film and everything. And they didn't do that last year because of COVID, and it would have been too much of an investment. And if it fell through, they were out all that money and it would be bad. So they didn't do it. So they did do it this year, and I'm guessing that's why we're doing the album again. Okay, so I was just being a baby. Like, I started thinking about it. I was like, if they played any of these songs from this album you love, that was my album of the year, you would be stoked. But now they're going to play the whole thing, and now you're going to whine about it because, they did it last year. And it was great. I mean, it's a great album. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. The song Murder Machines, especially, because that's the song length song from the album. A lot of them are very long. And notably, the song Care, the last song, I was not blubbering and sobbing, but it was close. There's tears streaming down my face at the end, and what is a super emotional song. Kind of about being terminally ill and dealing with it, but not in a depressing way, kind of like an uplifting way. And then at the end, when it's really building up, and then the choir comes in, and at that point, like, oh, fuck you guys, and I start crying. So, yeah, incredible. And then for we had a couple encores for this one. They did 5 more songs. Again, songs that aren't played all the time. Estonia, Afraid of Sunlight kind of is, to be fair. Go, The Space, and then separated out, the version they call separated out, because they incorporate like pieces of Kashmir into it. So that was cool. A little shorter than the first night, but I mean, they used to play like the short night, they would play an hour 45, and then they might go 3 hours the other nights. That's not the case anymore. I think it was that night was a little under 2, and the other 2 nights were like around 2, maybe a little over, which, I mean, they're all in their 60s. They can't, I mean, time waits for no man. I get it. And they still give it their all. So I'd rather have a shorter set of them on their game than them stumbling through it because we feel like we deserve another half hour, you know? So then Sunday night, there was a sort of theme to this, kind of a theme that they did in 2005. They kind of like lower key. I think Hogarth said tonight we're going to play a bunch of moody shit to kind of wind down. So that was when they started. They started playing the first 3 songs from Brave. So I thought, oh, maybe they're doing all of Brave. But then they moved away from that, and then they did Born to Run, another real rarity that I really love. Very bluesy and moody. White Paper from Fear, another really cool emotional one that you don't hear too much. Then we did get Sugar Mice, which I gotta say the impact was a little lessened because we'd just seen the Fish tribute band do it, but that's fine. Genie, another song that makes me cry. It was like, of the songs that make me cry, I think they might have missed one. Like, this was the Try to Make Scott Cry weekend. Then, yeah, more rarities. Fruit of the Wild Rose, they rarely ever play. Older Than Me, I'd never seen them play, and I don't know if they've ever played it. So that was cool to hear. Afraid of Sunrise, Map of the World, Pour My Love. I'd never heard him do that either, which is, I was counting, I think this is like my 22nd Marillion concert, and for them to play stuff that I'd never heard them do was pretty awesome. And then we finished off with A Few Words from the Dead was the first encore, another long emotional song that they don't play very much, and I don't think I'd ever heard them do it before, maybe once. And then finish off with Garden Party. So great. I don't know if I can recommend going to Marillion Weekend unless you're super into Marillion, because if you've never seen them before, you might be disappointed that they're not playing the hits. Usually it's stuff that real dedicated fans love, but that the maybe newer listener or casual listener won't appreciate as much. So, but if you're into Marillion at all, like you have the albums, you like the albums, maybe you've seen them once or twice before, I would highly recommend going. And who knows, it might not even happen again. They've said that if anything happens to any of them, that's it. So, and they're not getting any younger. So that's how I sell it to my wife every time, that this could be the last one. I can't miss it. So, but here's hoping they come back in 2025. So yeah, other than that, I ate a lot of poutine. I hit a bunch of record stores and spent too much money. I'll probably do a separate video, maybe showing some of the stuff I found at the record stores. A lot of cool record stores in Montreal. Yeah, so I guess that's it, you guys. Thanks a lot for listening to me babble on about Marillion for the 1000th time, and I'll see you later.